Too soon? Hi, everyone. Welcome to UpScale.
Woohoo! Thank you for spending your evening with us. My name is Jason Hibbets.
I'm Hannah Anderson. You want to talk about what UpScale is?
Yes. How many people is this their first time at UpScale? Yes,
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, so this is a really fun night. You're going to be a really fun audience and then a very laid back and casual audience in case you did not know that coming into it.
And very supportive.
And supportive. We have a few first-time speakers, with the exception of a few problem child folks.
Not
for the
naming
most
names.
part, for the most part, each speaker has 10 slides. They have 5 minutes, and we will auto-rotate the slides every 30 seconds on their behalf. Some people will be giving a little bit shorter talk, and that's fine. But if they go over 5 minutes, we'll start clapping, you'll start clapping, and it'll be a great evening. We have a variety of topics. We have a great lineup of folks for you this evening. And what else? I think that's...
Except that we really want to thank Jason and his team at opensource.com for co-hosting this event with us at Scale. They do a lot of work sourcing our speakers and helping organize it, so we really appreciate all the folks at opensource.com. They even write lovely media about us. We're always happy for that. So thanks, Jason and team.
I'm not even on the opensource.com team anymore.
You count as N team.
Very supportive. Matt Broberg is supposed to be here tonight. He couldn't make it, so I'm filling in. But if you're not familiar with opensource.com, we are an online publication and community. We'd love for you to write for us. We'd like for you to tell us the latest and greatest things you're doing in open source. And we like to think that we're your daily dose of open source, whether that's the latest Perl or Python hack that you've got or the latest Raspberry Pi trick you're doing. So the variety of things that we have here. So with that, I feel like I wanted to say one more thing, but I did want to say one more thing. This lineup has been very fluid. We lost a few speakers. We got a few speakers.
And one is still eating a burger
One
down
is still
the street.
having dinner right now. So we're just going to go with the flow. We're going to have a great time, and it's going to be a great evening. So I will...
So without further ado, we're going to welcome up our first speaker. She tells me her name is insert name here, but I think it is more accurately Miranda.
Hi, everyone. My name is Miranda Kapin. I am a product manager at Datadog, and I work on data visualization and dashboards. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about building a dashboard and choosing visualizations. So a lot of problems with creating dashboards are around kind of that blank slate syndrome. So you look at a dashboard and you think kind of, what do I do next? So some things to think about before getting started is things like, who is your audience? What are they going to be learning from this? And what are the next steps that they're going to take from this information? So I like to structure my dashboards something like this. So we have top-level information that is just going to be what do I care about at the top level, and then anything below that is just drill-down information. It's optional. So what should that top-level information even be? I'd start with something that is the simplest visualization that you can. It's going to be yes or no. So it could be something that like a service level objective or just a count of things that are in an alert state. But this could be anything relevant to what you guys are working on. So now I've put that top level information at the top, and I can see I have about 8 things in alert state. So what would I do with that? So I might want to look for the most important things to my workflow. So I'm just going to list out, what is important, and then start adding time. So what about that changed recently? And then throw that into the bottom of your dashboards. Usually dashboards end up with a lot of time series at the bottom, to be totally honest. So from what I've seen, the most used visualization types, which is going to cover like 98% of your use cases, time series, a top list, just like a number that's yes or no, as well as a table. There are others available, and you might want to use them at the top level as well. Cool. So we have some less used but still interesting visualizations that you might want at the top. Those are going to be like a heat map or a topology map. But honestly, the heat map's a little bit like a table, but prettier. And then the topology map, you can't really take action on it, but it might be interesting. And then this is my personal question that I like to ask people, but what do choropleth maps even tell you? They look good, but ultimately this is you just want a list of data ordered. So this is ultimately just a table, and it's more useful as a table. And this is my personal thoughts on pie charts. This is not endorsed by Datadog. But most of the time, this information can be just displayed as a top list of information. Maybe you write the percentage, but really the order matters, and you can just list it out, and you don't have to try and look very closely at the pie and try and read it. So thank you. I created this presentation in the last hour. So I hope you enjoy.
All right. Our next speaker has a title that's way too long that I don't want to read to you, so I'll just let you read it on the slide. Stuart, come on up, and this will be 10 slides, 5 minutes.
I will let you read it, but I will say it as well. So, this is how to collect data about your users without doing things that should make them hate you. It's about the randomized response method. Thank you. This is my title slide because I didn't know they'd provide me with a title slide. But there you go. So, I suspect, this being the scale audience, there will be some of you who are a bit uneasy about the amount of data that's collected about you by companies. There'll be people in this room, people in this building, people in this country who are a bit upset, a bit worried about this kind of thing. I am one of them. But importantly, we want people to be data-driven. Right? We don't want companies to make guesses about us and get it wrong. We absolutely want them to collect data and act on it. So, pick an example. This is a thing from the 1960s. If you want to work out whether people have smoked marijuana, you can't just ask them, have you done this in a survey? Because they'll all say no, because they assume the police are going to come and kick down the door, put them in prison, because it's illegal. So it's very difficult to get decent data responses from things where people have a motive to tell you lies about the answers. So if you are a clever social science researcher in the 1960s, you come up with a thing called the randomized response method. So what you do is you ask them the question, then you tell them, flip a coin. And then if the coin comes up heads, you tell the truth about your answer. If the coin comes up tails, you tell a lie about the answer. So if you have smoked dope and your coin comes up tails, you say, no, I haven't. And the whole point of this, the beauty of this, is that the errors kind of cancel out, which means that if you're in a position where 20% of people have smoked dope, when you do this, 20% of people will, in your survey, say they have, but any one individual person's answer is not incriminating. So if the cops come and kick down the door and say, you wrote on a bit of paper that you did this illegal thing, you say, nah, I flipped tails on my coin, and so I'm safe. Right? So any one individual person's answer does not incriminate them, but you, the company, the surveyor, the government, whatever, still get roughly accurate answers. So imagine you're building a service and you want to get a sense of the age of the users of your service. Right? So you ask them, are you 18 to 24, 24 to 35, 35 to 45, whatever. And if you look at these graphs, the first one is if you tell people almost all of you should tell the truth. The second one is if you say half of you should lie about your answer. That third one, every single person lied about what age they were. But you can see the graph's still roughly the same shape. And you, if you are a developer or you're a manager of developers, implementing this in your software is trivial. Anytime you want to collect information from one of your users, just with a certain percentage chance, make that answer different. Have it so they told a lie. The user doesn't even need to know you've done it, and you're collecting data which does not compromise that user. It can't be used against them. And the key point here is it lets you tune how much you protect user data versus your business needs. Because at the moment we present people with the option of you have all your data collected or you opt out of the internet. And you shouldn't have to opt out of the internet. We have superpowers. I can command any music I want. My daughter, who's 20, has never known the experience of being lost. And that's amazing. We should not be asked to give that up. And so we, as companies, as developers, we can trade on this. You can stand there and say, we protect your data in a way that our competitors don't. And what that does is it opens up the idea, the critical idea that real people out there in the world become aware there's a third way. There's some compromise between opting out of Facebook entirely or having all your data collected for nefarious purposes. And that normalizes the idea that this is a reasonable thing to ask for, to demand of the services you use and the products that you use and the companies that you use. And we can make that difference. Making a big change to the way the industry works is hard, but changing every small question that your app asks to store slightly unreliable data makes this data protection thing happen for your users, but doesn't compromise your ability as a company to be data-driven, to make proper decisions. So, my name's Stuart Langridge. If you're interested in talking to me more about this, I'll be in a pub somewhere at some point, or I'm doing a talk tomorrow, or I'm at SIL on Twitter, so if you want me to come and talk to your company, give me a shout. And that's me. Thank you very much.
We confiscate those after.
Keeping my phone.
All right, next we'd like to welcome to the stage Lori, who's going to give us some potentially much needed career advice. So welcome Lori to the stage.
Hello. My name is Lori Barfield. I've been an IT hiring manager off and on since about the 90s. And I've worked in many different industries. I worked for tiny startups, and I've worked for giant mega corporations. In my experience as a hiring manager, I can tell you that people in all aspects of the careering industry are doing it wrong. And in this 5-minute presentation, I'm going to give you the definitive guide to everything that we're doing wrong. Before we talk about what we're doing wrong, though, we should really talk about why things go wrong. And that's because HR professionals are doing their jobs very well, just like engineers do. They create repeatable processes with predictable outputs. They have standardized inputs. They have homogeneous outputs that reduce the risk and increase the efficiency. Unfortunately, for HR processes, this is self-defeating because the best, most robust engineering teams are diverse teams. Professional recruiters tend to contribute to an atmosphere in the careering industry that encourages employee churn. So, and this is unfortunate because when an employee comes to somebody and what they really need is career advice, about the only answer they can get out of a recruiter is, let me find you a new job somewhere else. This is hard on careers, this is hard on companies, this is hard on teams, and this is not good for the industry. Also unfortunate for the industry, recruiters tend to emphasize salary because that's how they're rewarded. On the size of the salary they get for somebody, but there are other kinds of compensation that are just as important. Managers do it wrong by avoiding building diverse teams, even though they're thinking they're doing it right. There's a different approach for every kind of talent you talk to. Senior talent wants to think your company might be the last company they ever have to work for before they retire. Millennials want to know what their job opportunities are 18 months around the corner. Women want to see job postings that don't signal a bro culture, and they want to be respected in job interviews. Also, you're doing it wrong too. Resume development is a process with a purpose. And if it's a three-step process where you start with a narrative about what your work experience is, what your academic achievements are, what your volunteer work is, and develop a master resume out of it first, that second step up there, then you can create a final targeted resume for a job that you're actually looking for. And that will teach you what your career arc should be and whether or not your job is along your career arc. And so much bad advice. There is so much dogma out there that is actually harmful to the process of a hiring manager trying to determine if you're a good fit for a role. This isn't funny. How many people know exactly how long a resume should be? Yeah, 1 page, right? So 6-point type with 1/4-inch margins, right? It makes it impossible for us to determine if you're qualified for the job, if you're a good fit for the role. If you've had employment gaps, don't be afraid to talk about them. If you've worked hard on developing your career while you're out of work. Self-descriptions, exaggerating on resumes. These are problems that we run into as hiring managers, and it's bad advice that people are taking. And also, you're blowing interviews. When you go to an interview, you're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you. You need to ask as many questions as you're being asked, and practice your answers before you go in. Just like I'm only getting 30 seconds a slide here to make my point with you, you don't need more than 30 seconds to make a good point in an interview. And if you've had a negative experience, practice until your answer sounds neutral. And also, if you're unconventionally qualified, if you're recruiting from a different industry, if you've got a college degree that's off the mark, don't apologize for it. That could be your strength. And hiring managers, you need to be at the top of your game. It got even more difficult to do good interviews in California last year with some new rules. All of these are illegal questions in a job interview, and it's even harder if you're interviewing for some European countries as well. So you don't need to know this information to determine if a candidate is a good fit for a role. And I got involved in this process. This is my volunteer work, these career consulting events that I do, because I used to go to conferences like Scale, technical conferences, and go to job fairs, which I found were also just encouraging churn. The only advice they could give you was resume review. They didn't have any help for managers that want best practices for talent retention, how to retain people that seem to be on the edge, the atmosphere that everybody has to be moving up. That's done wrong. Scale wants to help you. For the first time ever, we're having Open Source Career Day on Sunday. It'll be all day in room 105. And we're starting right after keynote with a talk on how to figure out what your career arc is and how to determine what jobs are along that career arc. And then we have group clinics, which are amazing experiences, resumes, interviewing and negotiating, and no two group clinics are ever the same. So see you tomorrow in room 105. Thank you.
All right. How many folks here work remote? How many want to work remote? All right. Well, this next talk by Sahil is going to give you some great data points. So welcome to the UpScale stage, Sahil.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Sahil. I am CEO at webscoot.io, a managed e-commerce hosting company. So all of us have already heard that remote teams are the future. But with the current global scenario and the fear of coronavirus spreading, the importance of remote work is at its peak right now. So let's discuss the challenges and the solutions that we have for that. So as per a survey done by Buffer, people were asked how many people would like to work remotely at some point of time in their career. And 99% of the people said yes. So that's like asking someone if you would like to have ice cream. Nobody says no. So almost all the startups these days have remote opportunities. A few known names that you might have heard who have 100% remote culture or have remote culture as core part of their ideology is WordPress, Mozilla, GitLab, Buffer, Stripe, Zapier, GitHub. If they can do it, you can do it too. Let's discuss some interesting facts about remote work. 60% of the office employees will be working from home regularly by 2022. 74% of the workforce would prefer to quit a job in exchange for a job that would offer them remote opportunities. 70% of the entire workforce telecommunicates at least once a week. And remote workers were about 13% more productive than normal office-going people. So let's discuss why remote work is like so good. From the point of view of the employees, as per the same survey done by Buffer, the main reason they gave was flexible schedule. And next was working from any location. So you could be sipping a pina colada, sitting at a beach, and still be working. Other things were spending more time with the family and working from home. From the point of view of the company, why they should prefer remote work is remote employees are more productive, as we discussed. They can attract better talent at better prices because they have access to a global pool rather than a local geography. They can cut costs, like they don't need a physical office space. Successful remote employees are self-starters as well as they have better communication skills. So let's discuss what the challenges are. So all the companies are not going remote. From the point of view of employees, it is unplugging after the work. So they're not able to distinguish if they're working, if they're not working, sitting at home. Another one is loneliness because they don't get to meet their peers or colleagues on a daily basis. Then collaborating or communication is an issue. And other things include distractions at home and being in a different time zone. From the point of view of the company, few issues and challenges that they face are time zone differences. One employee could be sitting in US, the other one is Asia, with a time difference of almost 12 hours. Since they are from different countries, different cultures, there could be cultural language barriers. One of the most important things is problem that they face is tracking the productivity of the employees because they don't punch in, punch out. So let's discuss what are the solutions to overcome all these challenges. You should have a communication strategy in place. You can use Slack, Zoom, Skype to constantly get in touch, see each other's faces. Then you can use Trello, Asana, Jira for project management, task management to be on the same page. You must have at least a monthly meeting, if possible, a weekly one. Most important is you have to offer flexibility but still measure productivity and establish a feedback and training loop. Okay, a few of the tested strategies that we have tried at our end. Fully remote, where the person does not come to office at all. This is the most difficult one and takes a lot of time. Second is partially remote. It could be like a person comes a couple of times in a month, or it could be like initial 2-3 months, they come and after that they work remotely. Third one is split shifts. A person works from office for a couple of hours and from home for another couple of hours. This gives them more time with the family. And the fourth one is work from home, which is like the most common and almost adopted by every company nowadays. Thank you.
Hello again. Next, we'd like to welcome to the stage, I'm just going to make up how to pronounce this. I have no idea. Jay Scar. Got it. Yeah, we're going with it. We're doing it live. About controlling your cockpit.
Absolutely. How's everybody doing tonight? All right. So, show of hands, how many of you guys have ever heard of Cockpit before? Okay, we got about a dozen folks in here. All right, we're about to change how you go through and do sysadmin work, especially if you're having to work with Windows folks. I know it's ewy, gooey, gross. But do you guys know what this slide or the picture is? This is the cockpit of an F-35, and not unlike the cockpit of the F-35, we're going to have a single pane of glass to see everything inside of our Linux machine. We'll go to the next slide. So, to get started, go to cockpit-project.org. It's really simple, right? The cool thing is that this is going to be installed on almost any Linux operating system. We'll hit the install button, and then we'll see it on the next slide. It'll install on almost any Linux OS, which is awesome. The instructions are there. You just click the little hyperlink, and it jumps you down to the area. If you're running Fedora, you're going to have to make sure to turn on the system D setting to get it up and running. Otherwise, things are just running right forward. Next step is you're going to log in via your browser. So if you're going to do this on your local box, you're going to go to your local host, :9090. Super simple. If you're trying to administer another box, you put in the IP address for that, :9090 again, and you log in with that user. So whether you're on your personal user or if you're talking about a maintenance user, like a lab manager or Ansible or whatever else, you log in. This is the first thing that you're going to see. This was done just a few hours ago. I wanted to show you some of the errors that it'll actually go through and catch. So there were 2 services that had failed, and loading available updates had failed. We're going to look at the different things that we can do and the errors that throw up on our dashboard. Next thing I want to highlight is the VM management is so simple on this, it is absolutely crazy. So if you don't want to install Box, or if you're used to Vert Manager, instead, go install Cockpit. You can get up and running in literally minutes versus about 10, 20 minutes. We'll go on to the next one. LVM GUI management is back. So in the old days with CentOS 6 or such, it was easy because, hey, we got a nice slider. 7 came along, it's, oh crap, I got to go through and do every single step with LVM. Especially for new sysadmins, this is challenging. It's actually here inside a Cockpit. Next thing I want to highlight is the easy networking. Again, when you're talking about bonding or adding a team interface, it's literally a single click. You check your interface and what you're going to name it, and you're done. On to the next slide. GUI package management. So again, if you're talking about your Windows folks or somebody who is not as familiar with it, you can go through and install the security updates or all of the updates. And you see that little slider that says automatic updates? You install one additional package and you choose a time that it'll automatically install and reboot your machine. With that, my name is Jay Scar. I work for Red Hat. Hope you guys have a fantastic night.
All right, our next speaker, Jen. She was actually in my talk earlier today about burnout, and she was one of my smile people where I could always look and depend on someone smiling back at me in case I wasn't doing a good job. And she's gonna do a great job tonight. So Jen, welcome to the UpScale stage.
We'll see how long I can not smile.
And that's my typo, not hers.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Payne, and I've been working in software development for the past 20 years, and today I want to share with you what I believe to be the top things that we can do to support our teams to be successful and happy. And this applies to all types of teams, and I encourage all team members to use these things, regardless of the role on the team. So a couple things I find myself telling people over and over again. We can be successful, well, that was fast. We can be successful, have fun, and life is hard, so let's make sure work isn't as hard. Number one, be thoughtful. This is a little bit deeper than being nice. Being nice is like, hey, good morning, and your head back down to the, in work. Thoughtful is, hey, how was that thing you had last night? And engaging with someone and asking them about something that's important to them. And we're really busy, so we forget to do these things, so we need to be intentional about that. And so put it on your calendar, remind yourself, and it will become a habit. 2, teamwork, not individual work. When we collaborate and work together as a team, we're way more effective. And the quality of work goes up, we're efficient. And so for me, it's all about working smart, not hard. So let's focus on working together as a team and produce higher quality work and in a shorter amount of time. Number 3, look for ways that you can serve others on your team. Maybe somebody's going through a situation that you've been through and you can coach them through that. Or maybe somebody wants to learn a new skill and you could be a mentor to them to help make that process a little more fun. Maybe you're just the boss and you have access to funds and somebody needs a chair and they don't want to have to beg for it. Go give them a new chair. And sometimes somebody needs to pair up on a task because they're just banging their head, and just be a second set of eyes for them. Number 4, find strengths in others. That's kind of hard to say. Look for what others bring to the team and help pull that out of them, because sometimes people don't know the strengths that they have. So communicate that to them, and better yet, provide opportunities for them to use those strengths. Also, there's usually people on the team that aren't the first to speak up, like me, and they have really, really good ideas. So help pull those ideas out of them by saying, hey, what do you think about that, right? Number 5, safe working environment. We all love to come to work just relaxed, free to be ourselves, creative juices are flowing, and we're looking for opportunities and wanting to work on the right things as opposed to being on guard. Where's the boss? I gotta make sure I don't get fired. That's all I care about, right? That's not good for us, it's stressful, it's not good for the team, and it's definitely not good for business. Number 6, we have to foster growth. If we don't stop and pause and think about how we can get better as individuals, as a team, as a company, then our work is not going to get better. Actually, our work is probably going to suffer. So we need to pause and say, how do we want to work together? And what's working and what's not working, right? And make change. Last but not least, effective communication. If you have not read Crucial Conversations, I cannot recommend this book enough. I have no monetary ties to this book. It was given to me, and I've read it with multiple teams, multiple times. All these things I'm talking about require crucial conversations, so why not get better at them and make these conversations easier? A few things quotes I like from this book: admit that we're inherently not good at crucial conversations, because we're not. They're hard. Practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. And I really like that because this book really shows you why we're not good at crucial conversations and how to get better. So I encourage you to take this back to your team, read it as a team and talk about it. And inherently you are going to build safety because you're going to be talking about something that's hard, and you're going to build trust and build safety in talking about that. So take it back. If your team doesn't want to read it on your own. You'll take those ideas back, and you'll affect the team as well. And I will leave you with this quote from Dr. Patrick Porter, which probably none of you even know who he is, but that's okay. Happiness isn't what you get from life, it's what you bring to life. Thank you so much.
All right, so we'd like to welcome the last speaker to UpScale stage for the night. Please welcome, I'm going to talk for a few more minutes because he's got to go really far from the back. Oh, you're just making it hard on me now? All right, fine. We're going to welcome Waldo to the stage, who's going to be talking about how to pronounce that word that I don't want to spoil the talk, so I'm just going to hand it over to him.
Thank you, Hannah. Where's their woo? I want woos for our speakers. Thank you. Wait, one more time? Yeah, that doesn't really work. So, unlike the gift debacle, where the creator went out of his way to pronounce it wrong, the Kubernetes community has embraced the lack of a definitive pronunciation of the tool that is the key touch point into their entire ecosystem. What the hell is that? If you ask 3 people, you'll get like 6 answers. I think we can do better. So starting off with the easy and the obvious, we start off with kube, and cube, and QB, and kube and kube. Now, if you're above a certain age, those last 2 sounded exactly the same. For the benefit of the older folks, that last one is the youngins' version of cool, babe. And for the second half, we have control and cuddle and cuttle and CTL. And for some visual aids, in case you're having a hard time hearing it. Now, if we put those together, we have 20 permutations. But that's still the easy and obvious. Less obvious. Kubectal. Kubectal. Bectal. You Bectal. And no, we are not done quite yet. Kubek TL. Kubect L. But really, what you should do is alias that thing. Who'd I talk to about dot files? Now, as Winston Churchill famously said, because ain't nobody got time for that. Now, if you have another way that you prefer to pronounce the name of that tool, you're welcome to. I mean, you're wrong. But because this is the definitive guide, you're welcome to be wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great night.
In case you didn't notice, he never said the name of that tool in the entire presentation. Please, let's give a round of applause for all of our UpScale speakers tonight. They did a great job. That's all we have for you tonight. I've got a little bit of opensource.com swag at the back table. Just don't take anyone's laptop. That wouldn't be cool. Thanks for coming. Have a great time. Thanks.